And U.S. officials say that they are overwhelmed at the southern border. Thousands of people are waiting to get in each day or are finding their way across the border over illegally. And one response to the influx is drawing heavy criticism from some who say it threatens the economy. Our Omar Villafranca is along the border in Eagle Pass, Texas. Omar, good morning.
Good morning. Border Patrol agents are stretched so thin they're having to get customs officers over to help. And it's still not enough as thousands of migrants like the ones behind me continue to cross over into the United States.
Desperate to enter the United States, these are some of the thousands of migrants who cross the Rio Grande each day. After more than 2 months, this Venezuelan family finally made it to the river. But on the other side is this barbed barricade set up by the state of Texas. It's littered with wet belongings and torn clothing. CBS News saw dozens of people illegally cross this section after using a metal framework to create an opening. Many of them women with children crawling their way into the U.S.
This crisis has spiraled way out of control, and we are at the point of no return.
Thousands stay here in a makeshift staging ground in Eagle Pass, huddled together with Mylar blankets to stay warm, waiting all day to be processed by overwhelmed federal Border Patrol agents.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott signed SB 4 into law, and if it goes into effect in March, that means that state troopers and deputies could charge and arrest migrants like these behind me for illegally crossing the border.
We need a whole much more. We need a lot of help.
Maverick County Sheriff Tom Schmerber says he is already low on resources and doesn't have the manpower to enforce Abbott's law.
It's going to be impossible to process one individual. Just any kind of a crime, whatever it is, takes about 45 minutes, just one person. And we're talking about a whole bunch of immigrants.
People we talked to came from Venezuela or Honduras, and they said that on their way up, they saw groups of hundreds, maybe even thousands, on their way here to the U.S. border.
So, you know, Texas has like this new law on the books. It's not going to be implemented till March. But what is Texas asking for now so that it can have the ability to actually enforce the law? Because I wouldn't think that the resources are in place.
At this point, Anne-Marie, Texas has said that they are not asking, they're doing on their own, claiming that they have a sovereign right, that the state has a sovereign right to defend the border that is, while also part of the U.S., also theirs. It's their burden. And basically what they're saying is they're going to empower DPS troopers and also sheriff deputies, local law enforcement, that if they are out doing whatever regular business they do, and they come across someone who may have entered the country illegally, that they can, you know, charge and arrest and start deportation processes through judges to get these people out of the country. And the law, the way it was written, was basically blaming the administration for not doing their job, and they said Texas is going to do the job that it has. Of course, in the lawsuit that was filed by the ACLU and other civil rights groups, they're saying it is not the state's business to do that. It is the federal government's business with the border. And we're going to have to see what happens. I mean, a lot of people are expecting this case to make it all the way up to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, so that the legal wrangling aside, you know, as we've seen in your stories, the people that are choosing to come here are doing it under duress. They are often running for their lives. I wonder if there are concerns, you know, if anyone's expressed it to you, for the people who will come anyway because they have few choices, and if they come and end up and find themselves getting arrested, are there concerns about unintended consequences should this law actually go into effect?
Well, there are people who are saying, you know, the state of Texas and Texas Governor Greg Abbott are thinking this will be a deterrent. But there have been other federal laws that they thought would be deterrents that didn't work. You know, so I don't know if this is going to be a deterrent for people who are coming in. Of all the states that border Mexico, Texas has the largest border, which means you have the largest spots to try to come in to the United States and near some populated areas. There's some other people who oppose it who say this is not going to deter people. If this is the first time you're trying to cross over based on the state law that they're trying to implement, it would just be a state crime misdemeanor. Could you be deported? Yes, but would that hurt your federal chance to get in? it remains to be seen. It's kind of murky the way it's written, so there's a lot that hasn't been tested if this law is even implemented.
And, you know, how do people in Texas feel about the various ways that the governor has tried to implement restrictions that would make it more difficult to cross the border?
I think the only universal agreement is that what's happening behind me is not sustainable and something needs to be done.
Right.
After that, it turns into a political fight. There's even sheriff deputies here on the border and sheriffs on the border who said, we don't have the manpower to do this. Just here in Maverick County, the sheriff told me that, you know, if this were to be implemented and his deputies, he only has 4 working per shift, if they have to worry about processing somebody who may be in the country illegally in a border county, he's only got 250 spots in his jail, 180 are there right now. He doesn't physically have space or manpower, he says, to stop DUIs or break-ins in the other parts of the country. They said, we're just not staffed for it. It's a job that we couldn't do. He feels that his job is to protect the citizens here of this county from crimes. And he said a lot of these migrants don't stick around, they're just passing through. And mind you, this is not just border communities. You're talking Dallas County, farther north, Harris County in Houston, somebody up in Lubbock. They would also have to enforce this law. Question is, would they? Do they have the people power? Do they have the space in jails?
All right, a lot of questions. Omar, thank you very much.